All right, yeah. I will, let me just copy Ben. I will take you through three steps of this presentation, introducing you to Global EcoIndustrial Parks program, and then we'll look at Global EcoIndustrial Parks project activities, the progress, and I will summarize with a couple of few lessons that we have learned out of this particular project. Now, the Global EcoIndustrial Parks program country-level intervention in South Africa aims to demonstrate the viability and benefits of eco-industrial park approaches in scaling up resource productivity and improving economic, environmental, and social performances of businesses in a way to contribute to an inclusive, sustainable industrial development in South Africa. And out of this particular aim, the specific expected outcomes are an improved environmental, economic, and social performances of industries in South Africa through the implementation of EIP approaches in selected pilot industrial parks. Now, the program itself is funded by the Swiss Secretariat for Economic Affairs, which is SECO. They're the guys who gave us money, and we acknowledge that in all honesty. And then the execution partners are NCPC and the DTI. DTI sits on top of everything, and NCPC comes in and do the groundwork to make sure whatever has been signed for the money is properly delivered. And then the implementation agents, or the implementing agents, is the United Nations Industrial Development Organization. I believe we have some colleagues online as well. The overall project objective is to demonstrate, as I said, the viability, and this has to come out clearly, of eco-industrial park approaches in scaling up resource productivity and improving economic, environmental, and social performances of businesses. And this program started 2021, 2020, 2020 up to 2023, that's when we shall be ending. And when we end, we are looking forward to see how we can take it up as a country going forward. It is, the Global EcoIndustrial Park program is running in 7 countries, of which in Africa we have South Africa and Egypt, and it has 2 project components. Component number 1 looks at country-level intervention, and it has 2 outcomes. One is to ensure that EIP approaches is mainstreamed in relevant policies and regulations. And then outcome number 2 is to make sure that EIP approaches are implemented, specifically in pilot industrial parks. And NCPC is also taking that forward, not only looking at pilot industrial parks. Then the component number 2 looks at global knowledge development, what we shall be doing in South Africa, and what other countries that are part of this particular project that they shall be doing in outcome number 1 and outcome number 2. Can we share those particular opportunities, particular knowledge, particular experience that has been developed? We share it appropriately with our local partners and international partners, specifically project participants. When the project started, we had a sample space of up to 13 industrial parks that we did specific scoping or specific assessment to identify the pilot industrial parks. And out of that sample space, 3 industrial parks were identified, and these were East London IDZ, which is in this case regarded as a lighthouse industrial park because of where it is currently in terms of applying or conceptualizing eco-industrial park approaches. And then the second one was Putadichab Industrial Park, and the third one is EcoIndustrial. Out of the 3, we have specific activities to happen in these particular industrial parks where East London and Putadichaba shall be getting, or they are getting already, advisory services on park management, looking at those particular aspects. And then the 3 industrial parks will all get technical assistance looking at EIP concept planning, RICP assessments, pre-feasibility studies, which we should also delve into after me. Let me also throw the beans to Rwanda, who shall be coming on this. And then facilitated implementation of specific IP opportunities. And these particular, out of the sample space, these were not selected. Most of these ones grouped in here were not selected, but they are not left out. In the process of, in the 3-year project phase, we are bringing them on board to get them along, to tag along, and share with them on specific project activities like capacity building, awareness raising, and a couple of you who have joined us online, you must have seen how we have engaged and made sure that we try to reach to each and every industrial park or any other relevant stakeholder to come and participate here, so that when we are done with global eco-industrial parks, the program is staying. We don't want to start from zero trying to bring others on board. Let's have you on board and let's all move forward together. All right. Now, specific activities, that's where I am, I believe. We had stakeholder engagement, under stakeholder engagement, stakeholder mapping, and here we had to map relevant national, provincial stakeholders and their role and interest and knowledge in terms of eco-industrial park approaches. And in here we tried to bring all the different stakeholders who have relevancy or who we consider that they will have a future relevance with the program. And we see key national stakeholders, provincial national stakeholders, local national stakeholders, and then in this we reviewed their potential roles in terms of EIP development in South Africa, and then we mapped some of the key stakeholders, and then we reviewed the current capacity and knowledge levels of the stakeholders, and this in summary gave us specific results where we were able to get specific project steering committee that runs the program in the country, and also to see how this particular group can advance the progression of eco-industrial parks. And that is where Ben was emphasizing the point of collaboration. Under stakeholder engagement, we also did stakeholder consultation, where we had policy analysis with stakeholders. And here we looked at what are the challenges in terms of policies that will advance the implementation of eco-industrial parks in South Africa, what are potential gaps, and how can we work to address these particular potential gaps. And out of this, the implementation of the proposed policy gaps amendments required a collaborative multi-stakeholder approach, and policy analysis and development report was proposed with all the policy regulations and amendments that have been given to the DTI, and DTI is already pushing this forward to a policy document. Maybe when you want to ask about this, Ben will give you much more information. And then with the policy analysis, as I mentioned, what came out was the gaps led to the proposal for policy regulation amendments, and there is an action plan towards these particular amendments that the DTI is working on, and all this is done in close alignment with the DTI's Industrial Parks Revitalization Program. Moving from there, we have done also awareness raising and capacity buildings since last year, and it has been quite a good journey dealing with the different stakeholders. And the reason was to strengthen national institutions relevant to EIP policy development and implementation. And we had to deal with local government, provincial government, and national government, national stakeholders, pilot industrial parks, and national industrial parks. The three and the rest of industrial parks in the country. And out of this, the awareness raising sessions that we did had specific topics that were related to those. We looked at, sorry, let me see. We looked at master planning of industrial parks and their contributions to EIP approaches and implementation, industrial parks and community collaboration engagements, access to finance training for pilot industrial parks and non-pilot industrial parks, and EIP policy makers capacity building. And all these ones, we are trying to make sure we have a concerted effort as we move forward driving this particular project, or driving the EIP approaches in the country, and we see how we can take it forward and how it can contribute to the major concerns of the DTI in terms of industrial revitalization. So out of this engagement, a total number of stakeholders engaged since the start of the program up until yesterday when we last had our access to finance training, up to 1,112 stakeholders that we have engaged with. And we are still trying to see how far we can go and bring more and more and more on board, and all of us sharing a particular common interest in driving this towards since we started in the pilot industrial parks, as I mentioned, we also added on other non-pilot industrial parks, and we have been able to go on, do proper EIP assessment to identify implementable opportunities. And in terms of RICP opportunities that we did identify in the pilot industrial parks, we had up to 29 energy saving opportunities identified. Then we had industrial water saving opportunities of 18 identified. And if implemented, in summary, you have these 18 millions in terms of runs savings. If implemented, up to these megawatts of energy saved, and if implemented, up to 27,000 tons of greenhouse gas emissions saved, and up to 61,692 cubic meters of water saved. That is in pilot industrial parks. Then what have we done in, okay, let me, just briefly here, with this, let me just break this one into 3 or 4 aspects. Within the pilot industrial parks management improvement opportunities up to, and this is only the 3 pilot industrial parks, then environmental performance improvement opportunities in energy, water, as I mentioned above, up to this, then social improvement opportunities of up to this number, and then economic improvement opportunities of up this particular. And then if you look at that, this is the total number, and if this is implemented, and that is where we are going, if this is implemented, obviously, we are looking at some of these particular savings realized. Going down to the 9 industrial parks we have worked with, I have 5 minutes to go. I should be able to finalize this one, Lee. Looking at this one, so we, from NCPC budget, not from the unit budget, we decided to go look at other industrial parks, and we did industrial park assessment to identify where these industrial parks are and what are their potential EIP improvement opportunities. Surprising enough, these are the 9, and the 35% and all that, this is their current performance level. But if you look at this particular stick here, it shows the improvement potential. And we identified a plethora of improvement opportunities that if each of these industrial parks do implement those ones, there is up to 78% on average improvement potential, moving from where this particular park is to somewhere around there. And these are opportunities which are there, and that is where the industrial parks now need to start and begin to look at what has been identified, what can they do with their limited resources, and what can they do that does not require capital investment. This is a summary of what I've just mentioned above. I want to quickly go down to the tools that have been developed. These are a plethora of tools that are out for public consumption. If you are an independent practitioner, if you're a government, if you, wherever you are, industrial park, these are tools that are available for you to look at, EIP selection tool, but what is most important is EIP assessment tool. This one, it is the one that you can quickly apply and be able to identify where you are and what can you do to move from where you are to the next level. And down here, in addition, we have developed this access to finance tool. It's now, I believe, launched on the UNIDO website and will be also on the NCPC website. If you have identified specific EIP opportunities or RIPP opportunities that you want to implement, you want money, where do you need to go? Get to this particular tool and try and put in your IE opportunity and see if you can find potential funders that you can approach on your own and see what they can put on the table. It's a very strong, powerful tool with up to 275 potential funders put in there that you can work with. They are available. This is the website. You can go there and be able to. What are the lessons learned? This is my last slide. I will note the desire for support to implement EIP identified opportunities in pilot industrial parks is very high. And we have specific industrial park managers who are pushing to make sure they move from where they are by implementing this and go to the next level. I will not talk about the interest among industrial parks for planning for efficiency and sustainability of the operations, looking at where they are. How do they move forward? How can they move to offer better services to their tenant companies? That is what is at the heart of their mind, at the heart of the operation, and we are glad it is beginning to pick up because Ben will agree with me that in some of these industrial parks, it's all about, it has been, give me my rent, I give you a service, but that's not enough. That's not enough. What else can you give to an industrial park tenant to make sure they stay in, they give you more money, and you also give them. Finally, there's, let me just, I'm looking for, when we did an assessment for, I'm looking for this one, the greater interest among individuals and the community of service providers. They are showing interest in trying to understand more about eco-industrial parks and how they can offer better services. If we are now dealing with, if we are using UNIDO as a service provider, how about our local? So our training for national service providers has raised that much more interest, needed interest among private service providers to make sure they get much more knowledge and they see how they can tackle this and work with NCPs and the DTI to push that, to push the EIP approach forward. And having said that, allow me to stop here by saying that our round table that Ben talked about brings a plethora of different players in the country, whether it is energy, solar power, water, and we share and we look at what have you done? What have you done that can contribute to the progression of EIP approaches in the country? Very powerful. Please, if you can, also try and see if you can join us on the next coming round table to see how we can work together collaboratively to push this particular forward. Thank you so much. Over to you, Lee.